Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory Srila Prabhupada. I hope you all are well. Welcome you all to His Holy Chandramauli Maharaj's daily call. And Maharaj will be with us soon. By the time I'm just going to check, we've got good.
I'm here. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, Maharaj. Thank you. So today, Maharaj will be giving a talk on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 10th chapter, and verse number 42. The name of the chapter is Bhagavatam is the answer to all the questions. So I'm just going to share my screen. Give me a second. Oops. Yes, we have the screen on, Maharaj, whenever you're ready.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sevadam Jagatataha Bhagavan Dharma Rupadrik. Pusnati Swabhayan Vishwam Tiryanara Suradibihi. He, the personality of Godhead, as the maintainer of all in the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation. And thus he reclaims all kinds of conditioned souls amongst the humans, the non-humans, and the demigods. Purport. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, incarnates himself in different societies of living entities to reclaim them from the clutches of illusion, and such activities of the Lord are not limited only to human society. He incarnates himself even as a fish, hog, tree, and many other forms, but less intelligent persons who have no knowledge of him deride him, even if he is in human society as a human being. Therefore, the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajanti mamurham manusim tanamasritam param bhavam ajnananto mama bhuta maheshwaham. As we already discussed in previous verses, it's concluded that the Lord is never a product of the material creation. His transcendental position is always unchanged. He is the eternal form of knowledge and bliss, and he executes his almighty will by his different energies. As such, he's never the subject of reaction for any of his acts. He is transcendental to all such conceptions of actions and reactions. Even if he is visible in the material world, the exhibition is only of his internal energy, for he is above the good and bad conceptions of this material world. In the material world, the fish or the hog may be considered lower than the man, but when the Lord appears as a fish or a hog, he is neither of them in the material conception. It is his causeless mercy that he appears in every society of species of life, but he is never to be considered one of them. Conceptions of material worlds, such as good and bad, lower and higher, important and insignificant, are estimations of the material energy, and the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all such conceptions. The words param bhavam, or transcendental nature, can never be compared to the material conception. We should not forget that the potencies of the Almighty Lord are always the same and do not decrease, because the Lord assumes the form of a lower animal. There is no difference between Lord Sri Ram, Lord Sri Krishna, and his incarnation as a fish in a hub. He is all pervading, simultaneously localized at any and every place. But the foolish person, with a poor fund of knowledge for want of Param Brahma of the Lord, Param Bhavam of the Lord, cannot understand the Supreme Lord can take the form of a man or a fish. One compares everything to one's own standard of knowledge, as the frog in the well considers the sea to be like the well. The frog in the well cannot even think of the sea, and when such a frog is informed of the greatness of the sea, he takes the conception of the sea as being a little greater than the well. As such, one who is foolish about the transcendental science of the Lord will find it difficult to understand how Lord Vishnu can equally manifest himself in every society of living entities. Om Gyan Timidam Dasya Gyanadjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Paschatya De Sutarine Guru Vishya Kripa Sindhu Pebacha Titanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there are two foolish thoughts here. One is that the Lord cannot incarnate in these other forms. And two, if he does, it's a material form. Both are due to a poor fund of knowledge, or as Prabhupada said, seeing the Lord in relationship to one's own self. But Krishna, the Supreme Lord, he is the source of how the material energy works. He is the source of the material energy and also how it functions. And therefore, he is beyond the material energy. It's like a little child can play with a set of toys and he can make the toys work according to how he wants them to make. So similarly, the Lord can take the material energy and connect it in any way to himself or to its own activities that are bewildering to the conditioned souls. He's all powerful. And therefore, people with a poor fund of knowledge, we use that example of the frog in the well. Prabhupada likes to use this to illustrate how a person who thinks he's very knowledgeable has no knowledge. The frog is informed about the sea from his friend, and he says, oh, yes, there's a big ocean out there of water. And the frog thinks, oh, is it 3 times bigger than my well? Maybe 10 times? Come on, maybe 15 times? And he's blowing himself up. And then, of course, he bursts after some time. The stupid frog. So the frog-like scientists who think they know about God or about how God works simply sees with what we say vision that is faulty. In other words, they can't see or they can't understand, even if they hear about it. They think it's some phantasmagoria or some mythology. But Krishna is all powerful. And therefore, if he is the creator of the material energy, he is also the controller of the material energy. And therefore, it can work any way he wants it to work. And if he wants to change the laws of the material energy to work different than what he initially puts in place, he can also do that also. So in other words, the source is greater than the creation, and even if the source appears within the creation, he is not like the creation. And here, Krishna, he does come. Actually, it says in another place in the Shastras, I can't give you a complete reference, but I've heard it many times, that in order to uplift the conditioned souls, the Lord will appear in all 8,400,000 species of life as the best of that particular species to attract that particular species to him so they move forward on the evolutionary cycle. Just imagine how merciful the Lord is. He does so many things to somehow or other bring the conditioned souls back to him. And that's one of the ways. He'll come in the form of even in a form of a cockroach, but he'll be the most beautiful cockroach, and all the other cockroaches will run after him. And then those cockroaches will get some benefit because there'll be an association of the Supreme Lord. And therefore they move forward on this evolutionary cycle. So this is, you can't imagine what compassion that is, how the Lord will even submit himself to take the form of such low species of life just to uplift the conditioned souls. And that's his mercy. But those who are the plan makers, the scientists, the thinkers of today's world, can't think beyond their own well. They see everything according to their limited. Or even if they understand there's something beyond, they can't understand what it is because they have no way to reach that. But a devotee can accept it. We have the example, there's a beautiful story where Narada Muni, he's walking along and he sees one yogi. And the yogi says, "Oh, Narada, I'm so happy to see you." He raises his obeisance. He
Sorry,
pays,
Maharaj, continue. I'll put him to mute.
and Narada's walking along. This yogi pays his obeisance, says, "Oh, Narada, so wonderful to see you. Narada, I have a question for you. Can you please, I know that you can go and see Lord Narayan anytime you want. So could you please, next time you go to see Lord Narayan, can you ask him, when will I be liberated?" So Narada Muni he's noting this yogi's request, and he folds his hands and he walks on. After some time, he comes to a very simple cobbler who's sitting under a banyan tree. He sees Narada, he recognizes him as a great saint, pays his obeisances. He offers so many nice prayers. He's very humble. The yogi's not so humble. He's a little bit proud of his yogic posture, his yogic practice. But this cobbler is very humble. So he says, "Oh, Narada," when he pays his obeisances, glorifies Narada in so many ways. He says, "Narada, I know you can go see Lord Narayan anytime you want. Next time you go, can you please ask him, when will I achieve liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death?" So Narada is very much pleased with this cobbler's attitude. He notes it and he goes on. After some time, Narada goes to the spiritual world and he meets Lord Narayan. And then he remembers these two personalities. Um, and then he says to Lord Narayan, "Actually, I met two personalities. They both asked me when they will be liberated. And one was a yogi and one was a very simple cobbler." So then he speaks about the yogi. Of course, Lord Narayan knows everyone. So he wants to know when he'll be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. And then the Lord Narayan says, actually, that yogi will be in the material world for many hundreds of births more. And then he asks about the cobbler. He says, oh, yes, that cobbler. Yes, he's my devotee. He is very devoted, has all good qualities. Although he's poor, he is always worshiping me in devotion. Therefore, at the end of this life, he will return to me in the spiritual world. So Narada says, after hearing, Narada says, oh, and he's kind of shocked to hear that the yogi will be there for many hundreds of births. And he says, Lord Narayan, he said, when I go see them again, they're going to ask me, what were you doing? And Lord Narayan says, you can tell them that I was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And Narada's a little surprised, but that's what Narayan said. So he leaves after some time, many, many years later. He comes back and he sees, oh, that same yogi is there. Oh, he recognizes Narada again. He says, oh, Narada, it's nice to see you. Did you get a chance to go see Lord Narayan? Oh, yes. Did you ask him about me? Yes. What did he say? Well, he said, you will be in the material world for many more hundreds of births. And the yogi is very shocked and at the very time very unhappy. And he says, oh, Narada, what was Lord Narayan doing when you went to see him? He said, oh, he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. You're joking. You're not even a bona fide uh, demigod. And he starts laughing, but at the same time he's criticizing Narada, and he thinks he's so great. And Narada told him, he'll stay in the material world for many births. And then he goes on, and then again he meets the cobbler. The cobbler says, oh, Narada, nice to see you again. Did you get a chance to see Lord Narayan? Yes. Did you ask him about me? Yes. What did he say? He said, actually, he said, this will be your last lifetime and you'll return to the Vaikuntha realm at the end of this lifetime. And of course, the cobbler is so happy to hear that. He said, oh, Narada, the Lord is very kind, very merciful. He said, my dear Narada, what was the Lord doing when you saw him? He said, well, he was actually threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, my Lord is so wonderful. Narada says, you believe that? He said, yes. How can you accept that? He said, you see this banyan tree I'm sitting under? This banyan tree comes from a little seed, and there's these banyan fruits. And inside this fruit, there are hundreds of seeds. And each seed has the potential to make another tree. So inside of a little seed, inside of this little fruit, the Lord has put an entire banyan tree in there. So therefore, I can understand, yes, he can thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. And Narada was smiling. He said, yes, you have understood. So when we look, we can think about it in the same way. We see a little seed, but that seed is a potential tree. So if the Lord can put a gigantic tree in a little side of a little tiny seed, he can manifest himself in different forms of himself that are unrecognizable by the conditioned souls. And he can, even though he becomes a fish as Matsya, he becomes a hog as Lord Varaha, becomes a half man, half lion. He becomes a dwarf Brahmana as Vamanadev. He becomes a turtle as Kurma. He becomes so many different manifestations that are forms within the creation, but he is not of that. He is transcendental to that. And he is the source of these forms also. So God is great, but there are a class of people who want to relegate God to the same level as their own logic and understanding. But the Lord is beyond all of that. And therefore, we have to accept the knowledge about the Lord coming from higher authority, or that authority that is bona fide, which is the Lord himself or his pure devotee. So therefore, devotees have no problem understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they can understand that the Lord is transcendental to everything material. He is the source of everything, both spiritual and material. And to change his form, even yogis can change their form, what to speak of the Lord himself. Of course, the yogi, when they change their forms, they expand their forms into the same form many times. It says in the Shastras, a yogi can manifest himself in 9 different forms of himself, but each form is doing the same thing. When Krishna was in Dwarka, he manifested himself in each of the palaces with 16,108 queens. When Narada came to visit the Dwarkadish, or the Supreme Lord, in Dwarka, he went to one place and he saw Krishna playing chess with his wife, and another one he was taking care of the children, another one he was taking some prasadam. So in each of the 16,108 palaces, the Lord was doing something different. Same Lord. So although yogis can expand themselves, it's like having different televisions. If you have the same channel, you can see the same thing on the different televisions in different places. But Krishna is not like that. He can manifest himself in any way he wants, and each of the forms can be doing something different. And so everything about Krishna is transcendental. Everything about Krishna is achintya. Chintya means inconceivable, or not conceivable by the ordinary conditioned soul, or even by great souls. If one wants to understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one can do that through the power of one's devotional service. As one executes devotional service, one can purify themselves from all material misconceptions, all material desires, all material activities, and then one becomes eligible to understand the transcendental nature of the Lord as the Lord reveals himself in the hearts of his devotees. As he sits in the hearts of each and every devotee, he also reveals himself through his devotee within the heart, and the devotee can understand when they read something that is apparently contradicting all of the laws of material energy. They can accept it because they know that God is great and God is unlimitedly great. When we say God is great, that doesn't tell you much, but the greatness is understood here, that he can be so many other forms of himself and still be himself. He was the most beautiful boar. A boar is not very beautiful. A boar stays in the jungle, and he's a scavenger. He eats whatever he can eat, and he's quite ferocious. But the Lord used that form in order to lift the earth after it fell into the Garbhodak ocean, when it was shaken out of its orbit by this powerful demon called Hiranyaksha. And the Lord manifested the perfect form to go to the bottom of the ocean, because it says that the bottom of the ocean is a dirty place. So boars go to dirty places. So the Lord, in order to not teach, but also to keep things in line, he goes to a dirty place in a particular form that goes to dirty places. A hog or a boar. A fish, when he was a fish, he started into a little tiny fish in a fishbowl, and he grew to such a large fish that it was covering the entire ocean, the size of the fish. Now, this is Krishna in his different manifestations and his forms. And he does that for his transcendental happiness and in order to enact his transcendental pastimes, in order to bring about religious principles according to time, place, and circumstances. So a fish, a hog, what else does he appear as? It says here he appears as a tree. I can't think of any form of the Lord that's a tree. Maybe someone else can. Can you think of any? Anyone? How does the Lord appear as a tree? Huh? He appears as a banyan tree? Hmm?
It is mentioned somewhere, it is a representation of Vishnu. When he compares some big mountain and like this one.
But as an incarnation, does he come as a tree? Anyway, Prabhupada says it because what the incarnations that we have available in our scriptures are just a tiny drop of all of the total incarnations of the Lord. We can't understand even the ones we have, which are, and they're very, not innumerable, but they're many, but he comes in many other forms also, in order to enact religious principles and to perform his transcendental activities to give pleasure to his devotees. He says, I am the holy fig. Yeah. But does he incarnate in that? The Bodhi tree? Well, I'm not sure if I have any reference to the Bodhi tree. You're talking about Lord Buddha. Okay. Anyway, we can stop here and open it up for questions.
Thank you, Maharaj, for nicely explaining all the different incarnations of the Lord and different pastimes as well. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, you have a question? Please go ahead. And devotees, if you can keep your cameras on, that would be nice. And if you can't speak, then you can type it in the chat and I can read it for you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Satyabhama. Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, we're here. We've all read and heard about many of the main incarnations of Sri Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam and some other books. But after you were describing it today, it would be so awesome. I would absolutely love to read and hear about many of these other incarnations in these 8,400,000 species. It sounds fantastic. Is there anywhere we can hear and read about them?
It just mentions that. That's all that's mentioned. That's mentioned, Prabhupada's mentioned it in his lectures, and it's also mentioned in some place within the Bhagavatam, but there's no detailed explanation. Because you don't hear about all of the different other manifestations. But Prabhupada's making the point that the Lord is so kind in order to push the conditioned souls who are in lower species of life through the evolutionary system faster so they can come to the human form of life quickly, he does that. That's
Okay.
his mercy. I don't know of any particular books, and I've never heard of any. I don't think there is one book that mentions that, but the point is to show his compassion for the conditioned souls. That's the main point, that's being expressed.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hari Hari, we got
Thanks. Thank you.
Sridevi.
Sridevi Mataji, please go.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Just like Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu said, this is just so fascinating that the Lord incarnates in every species of life. And as you were speaking it, I was thinking about the cockroach, the ant, the grasshopper, the bacterium, etc., etc. But we also hear that it is in the human form of life that we can take up Krishna consciousness. The lower life forms do not have that consciousness. So how does the Lord deliver them when, say, in a cockroach form or earthworm form or snake form or whatever it may be? How does that happen?
Not delivering them, he's pushing them through the evolutionary cycle so they can come to the human form quickly.
So that means when the Lord incarnates and they get attracted towards him, whether it be a cockroach or an earthworm, their next
Try to
life.
understand the main principle. You can't get liberated unless you engage in devotional service. These other living entities in those lower species are not doing any devotional service. They're simply attracted to that same species that they're in. And because of that attraction, who is the Lord himself, that allows them to move forward fast through the evolutionary cycle. That's all. They're not getting liberated. They're just getting to the human form very fast.
Okay, thank you.
Only by bhakti can people get out of the cycle of birth and death.
Thank you, Mataji.
Just to
Manohar
clarify my
Prabhu.
understanding, that means they go through the evolutionary cycle very fast because they got attracted in this species of life. In the next one, also they will be attracted, and that's how they will progress.
If you're trying to figure out the details, you won't.
Oh, okay. All
Just
right.
take it as it is.
Okay.
Don't try to be a Muni, try to speculate about what's happening. Muni
Yes, Guru Maharaj, no speculation. Accepted.
Thank you, Mataji. Manohar Das Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. Thank you for giving class. My question is in regards to all the various Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. My question is in regards to all of the incarnations. Recently, I was hearing how one can see all of the incarnations in relation to Krishna being the source of the incarnations. So I was wondering if you could very kindly speak on how we can see even incarnations like Varahadev or Nrsimhadev in connection with Krishna's particular sweetness or behavior or personage.
Well, Jayadev Goswami, he speaks about Das Avatar. So there it mentions that each of them, it's not necessarily the Lord showing his sweetness, he shows different moods according to the purpose of that incarnation. So when he incarnated as Matsya, he saved the Vedas from being lost by creating a boat. When the devastation of the universe came, the Vedas were saved, and Satyavrat was the person who organized the boat, and then the Lord pulled the boat and saved the Vedas. So you might call him a sweet fish if you want. I don't know. But he had that purpose as Varahadev. He killed the demon Raksha, but that wasn't the main thing. The main thing was to save the earth that had fell into the Garbhodak ocean and bring it back into its cycle in the cosmological order. So not necessarily does he exhibit his sweetness, but his sweetness is exhibited in his Krishna form, mostly. Then that's the perfection of his sweet nature. When he comes as Krishna, and especially Krishna in Vrindavan. When he was Krishna on the battlefield, obviously his sweetness is still there, but he didn't manifest that nature. He manifested himself as the chariot driver of Arjuna to help bring the Pandavas to the power to rule the world. So he gets involved with politics in some of his incarnations, saves the Vedas, kills demons, brings back the demigods in control of the universe when it was stolen by Bali Maharaj, and he comes in the form of Vamanadev. In Vamanadev, he was very sweet. Vamanadev was very sweet. Yeah, he became a beautiful young Brahmin boy, no more than 12 years old. And then said he attracted Bali Maharaj by his beauty. So yeah, the Lord exhibits different qualities. But as Nrsingadev, how sweet was he?
Sweet to Prahlad, but not many other people. Yeah. Thank you, Mosh.
Thank you,
So,
Manohar.
so it sounds like that one Supreme Lord exhibits their topmost sweetness in their innermost sanctum, Vrindavan, as Krishna Vrindavan, but he has unlimited moods and qualities which are exhibited by his unlimited forms, like Matsya, Kurma, Varahadev, Vamana, etc.
So many, yeah.
Mhm.
There's a different Vaikuntha forms manifested, and they come because he incarnates in his Vishnu manifestations come to take care of the business of the material world, to put things back on track, to kill demons. It's not Krishna who does that, it's Vishnu. Even when Krishna kills demons, it's not really the Supreme Lord Krishna who's doing it. It's the Vishnu within Krishna that does the killing. Krishna is just dancing with girls and having fun and playing with and stealing butter and making jokes with his cowherd friends. And, he's just having fun. Comes to killing demons, then he manifests his form as Vishnu.
Splendid, super fantastic.
So just like you see, when Krishna appeared, Vasudev took a Vaikuntha Krishna from the cell in Mathura and brought him to Vrindavan. And he exchanged him for the girl. But Mother Yasoda had already given birth to a boy. So that boy was Vrindavan Krishna. And the manifestation that was brought by Vasudeva was Vaikuntha Krishna, and they became one.
Yeah.
They became one in Krishna. So the Vaikuntha Krishna merged within the Vrindavan Krishna, and that's the one that was killing the demons. So Krishna can do that. It looks like Krishna is killing the demons, but actually he's doing it through his Vishnu manifestation.
Oh, wonderful. It's Krishna.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Thank you for the nectar, Maharaj. Thank you.
For inspiring the questions. We have Pavni.
Pavni Devi, please.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and near Lotus feet. Maharaj, you were talking about how like the incarnations are different from like what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita from 10.20 to 10.40. So Maharaj, what is the difference of like incarnations and what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita?
10.20 to 10. Oh, when he's speaking about himself in different aspects of the material energy. These are not incarnations at all. He's just saying that the best in every category can be seen as him. It's a reflection of the external energy as the best of that external energy. The best mountain, the best elephant, the best weapon, the greatest phenomena. But then at the end, after he speaks, he says, what is the use of all this detailed knowledge when a simple fraction of my energy I support and pervade the entire creation? So these are not incarnations. He's just giving an insight so we can see him within the greatness of material energy.
So he's telling us like where can you see in the material world?
Yeah, the best of everything material.
I understand. Thank you so much.
That way, I mean, Krishna really he did that just to help the non-devotees see him through the external energy, but it's not his way of really manifesting his qualities.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
he's the best of every category. But that best that means because of him being the source of everything, he's also the best of everything. He's the best. He's the, you might say, what would be an example? He says, I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. So he says, I am sex life, which is not, that means religious principles, which illustrates the purpose of sex life, which is for the procreation of children. He says, that is me. Samoham Bharatasabha, what is it? Samo, is it? Bharatasabha is the last word in that line. So the Lord is the best in every category. He's the best mountain. He's the best weapon. He's the best everything. But that's for the non-devotees. It's not, devotees don't really, they don't look for Krishna. You can see the phenomena of the material energy. Just like one time Prabhupada was walking in Venice Beach near Los Angeles, which is right on the ocean of the Pacific Ocean in California. So the devotees were there, and it was a beautiful sunset. And the devotees were marveling at the sunset, and they pointed out to Prabhupada how beautiful the sunset was. And Prabhupada was not so impressed. He said, Yes, but you should see the artist. The person who created that phenomena that we're finding, some awe towards. So for the external manifestations of of Krishna through the energy, it's mostly for those who are non-devotees or those who are materialist devotees. Devotees, they want to know Krishna as Krishna in Vrindavan or Krishna in Vaikuntha. That's what they're interested in, not through the external energy.
Yes,
They're
Maharaj.
attracted to Krishna. Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay, so we're going to skip you, Krishna Das Kaviraj, and come back to you. I'm going to go to Srimati, and then we'll come back to you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances, all those to Srila Prabhupada. My question is, so the Lord did all the pastimes in Vrindavan or all whatever incarnations he has come. So all these are for the conditioned souls or Nityabadhas to come back to the spiritual world or to come back to the home. So, but what about the ritualistic persons who are always into doing some pujas or the rituals, always focusing on them? So these persons, how they not attracted towards the pastimes of the Lord or towards the leelas of the Lord or incarnations of the Lord?
Kama sarva kama va boksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That Krishna attracts those who are devotees, those who are kama, means akama, means no material desires. Moksha kama, those who desire liberation. Akama sarva karma, and those who have all material desires. So Krishna can attract all three of those categories. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, in the second canto. So yeah, he can attract them also. When the four Kumaras were Brahmavadis, they were worshiping the Brahman effulgence of the Lord as the supreme aspect of the spiritual realm. But then when they simply smelt the beautiful sandalwood paste and tulsi leaves that were offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, they actually became personalist. So those who are impersonalists, yes, they can become personalists. The only ones that won't become personalists are the Mayavadis because they're envious. They want to become God themselves. They don't want to worship God. They say they are God, and they say the process of spiritual life is to come back to your position as being the supreme. And then they address each other, Om Namo Narayan. So yeah, the envious, they will never change. But those who are not envious, well, they always have an opportunity if they come to meet the Lord in one form or another, or through some situation. There's also a Gyata Sukriti, unknowingly performing devotional service. People get benefit from that also. They get elevated on the spiritual platform. So yeah. But the Mayavadis,
so unless they become, yeah,
they'll never change.
So unless they become devotee or come into bhakti yoga, they can't get the attraction towards the Lord and his pastimes, right, Maharaj?
Anyone can get attracted to the Lord and his pastimes. But that doesn't bring
Mhm.
you to the platform of bhakti. That you have to execute bhakti
Okay.
before. Yeah. There are many people who
Mm.
hear about the Lord's pastimes and get attracted. They develop some spiritual credits for that. But if they don't
Mm.
go any further, then they don't make any further advancement. Getting attracted, anyone can get attracted. Even a dog can get attracted. But that doesn't mean that person who's attracted, if they don't take that attraction and turn it into practical activity of devotional service, then that attraction will either wane or never develop beyond a certain point. Krishna is all attractive, even to the demons.
Yeah. Okay. Got it, Ganesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrimati Mataji. Sonal Mataji, did you have a question? I think I saw your hands up.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. I think Maharaj, you partly answered the question because especially in India, I see so many people who are studying Bhagavad Gita and giving lectures on Bhagavad Gita. And you always wonder, but they are all non-devotees. So I always wonder whether they will ever be able to understand Krishna and his pastimes or not. But I think you answered Srimati Mataji's question. That clarifies it. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
If they're not envious, they can. But they use Bhagavad Gita to put forth their own ideas or some political program. I remember I read this one critique on Bhagavad Gita from one professor in America. And he really glorified the poetry, the symmetry of Bhagavad Gita. And it's very poetic, beautiful. And then he start talking in a literary form about the greatness of Bhagavad Gita. But he didn't mention Krishna at all as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not at all. So what I did is after reading it, I thought maybe I should inform him since he did a nice presentation in a literary form. So I found out his phone number, called him up. He was a professor in one college in Atlanta, Georgia. And then he got on the phone. I introduced myself. And then I started to speak. And he said, "Oh, you are from ISKCON, right?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Thank you very much for calling. I have to go." So he wasn't interested in learning any more about what, Krishna actually is. The speaker of Gita, it's more than just some literary, beautiful onomatopoeia, literary embellishments, nice poetry, nice, sweet language. It's more than that. It's transcendental knowledge that can take the soul out of the material world.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. Because I always wonder, they have their own meanings and they have their own books and everything they're doing is all by themselves. And I don't know whether to interfere in their actions or just stay away and just watch them and let them be.
Prabhupada said, if you want to write a book, don't use Krishna's words to become a famous author. They're cheaters. That's all they are. They're taking what Krishna says, turning it into a different. I was on a plane not long ago. One man sitting next to me, very nice. We were talking, and he said, "Oh, I have a guru, and he's written a book. He's written a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita that shows that Lord Shiva is glorified in Bhagavad Gita." I tried to be polite to the man. I didn't want to. He was so humble and so sweet. So I said, "Well, that's very nice." He said, "Can I give you a copy?" I said, "No, thank you." I said I wasn't going to waste my time. So yeah, I let him know, at least in a less direct way, that it's not about Shiva. It's about Krishna. Where is Shiva mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, other than a listing of one of the demigods? That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
But to take it even further, Prabhupada says there's, at least this was when during Prabhupada's time, he said there are 666 editions of Bhagavad Gita, and none of them have made any devotees of Krishna, because then they don't know what Krishna is saying or what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. He said, then since we put our Bhagavad Gita as it is, we have so many people around the world now becoming actually followers of Krishna. The Prabhupada didn't change anything. He understood what Krishna said by his own spiritual depth of practice and translated it into words, that's all. He didn't give his own opinion. He simply gave Krishna's opinion, Krishna's understanding. And that's Guru. Guru is not about himself. He's trying to bring Krishna into the lives of others. But nowadays, the Guru wants to be a person who is worshipped, and they use Krishna as a way to become popular. If you take a popular person and then take it and use that person in your own way, so you can become popular, or you can gain followers also. It's just cheating. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you. Kaviraj Prabhu.
Yeah. Guru Maharaj, I have another question on these 8,400,000 forms. Just that I'm so awestruck with that statement that Krishna just comes in every single one of these 8,400,000 forms. How wonderful is he? That statement alone makes you want to fall in love with him and go running towards him. So,
Yeah.
8,400,000 forms, do they all have their own Vaikuntha planet and their own devotees on each of these planets?
No, these are just manifestations of his compassionate nature. The information that I have is I've read it once in Srimad Bhagavatam in Prabhupada's purport, and I've heard it a couple times in Prabhupada's statements in his lectures. That's my information.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have. Prabhupada never gave any reference, nor
That's a
did I
shame.
hear.
It's so amazing.
I never heard references from any. So when you don't know something, you can't really speculate and say, well, it's like this, except as much as you can understand and leave it at.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, but well, the fact is that you want to go running towards Krishna, that is really the indication that yes, he is so compassionate that he'll take the trouble, you might say, to come in these other species just to uplift the conditioned souls. That's really wonderful. That's compassion at its highest.
Thank you, Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu. Maharaj, we have a question from Parijata Mataji. I'll read the question. She has two questions. She's asking, what does the Lord's willingness to incarnate in all his species teach us about his love and concern for every living entity and not just human beings? And okay, so I'll maybe ask second question later on because that's a different question, Maharaj. So she's asking that what is it teaching us? That Lord is coming, incarnating in all his species, not just human being.
He's teaching us, we can see that just how merciful and compassionate he is. And for those persons, those living entities in those species, he's pushing them along the evolutionary scale. That's as much, yeah. We can see, as that Krishna Das Kaviraj said it nicely. He feels so attracted to Krishna because of his compassionate nature. Yeah. Compassion is very attractive. When we meet a compassionate person, you're attracted to that person automatically. It's a very powerful attracting quality that they accept some difficulty, or even we see that the preachers are very compassionate. They accept some inconvenience and some suffering in order to preach Krishna consciousness to the conditioned souls. Look at what Prabhupada had to go through to spread this movement, or even start the movement. What to speak about spreading it. His compassion is unlimited. Can't be described. Can't be imitated either.
I hope that answers your question, Parijata Mataji. And I'll read the next question, Maharaj. What does it mean for a devotee to uphold dharma in daily life in imitation or service to the Lord, who is Dharma Rupadrak?
Uphold dharma?
Yes.
Preach. Preach, teach. Be an example also. Be an example, and be an instrument of spreading dharma. It says that if you follow dharma, if you protect dharma will protect you. What is that? It's a very interesting statement. You know that one, Sri Devi?
Dharmo
Rakshati Rakshitah.
Yeah.
Say it again slowly.
Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitah.
Dharma Rakshati Rakshita.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
You protect dharma will protect you.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. So we have another question from Anjali Kumari Mataji. Anjali Kumari Mataji, do you want to unmute yourself and ask? You're on mute.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It was just a expression of gratitude I wanted to express. Through your lectures, Guru Maharaj, I really get the glimpse of what Krishna is. It feels like getting little pieces of puzzles, but it is really difficult to hold on to all those little pieces of this beautiful puzzle. And I mean, like, now it is getting little impatient to wait to see the clear picture. It makes us very enthusiastic and excited about it. And having said that, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for your mercy. I would like to add a question. Guru Maharaj, how can we please Krishna all the time, like 24/7? Just please him all the time.
Serve his devotees. if you try to please Krishna directly, you may not. But if you try to please his devotees, then Krishna's pleased automatically. Because his devotees are very dear to him. He says, one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says he's devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. Gopi Bhatte Pate Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudas. Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, I want to become servant of the servant of the servant. That's the highest position, to become servant. But not only become servant, but become servant of the servant of the servant. And Prabhupada emphasizes that point in one lecture where he says, 100 times removed. The more you become servant, the more you become glorious in the eyes of the Lord. Because it's service that connects you with yourself, with the material energy, with Krishna, and with the process of bhakti.
So, Guru Maharaj, while we are
Think of ways to serve the devotees.
And Guru Maharaj, what about the time we waste while we are sleeping?
What about it?
What and how do we like what if now it feels like while we are sleeping we are wasting time, huh? We are not pleasing Krishna.
We say sleep is another form of death. That's all it is. You die for 6 hours and then you come back to life again for 7 hours or whatever. The more one
Thank
becomes
you so
advanced
much.
in Krishna, the less they actually sleep.
That makes sense now. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for this reminder. Thank you so much.
Devotees sleep only because they had to maintain their body, but they don't look forward to sleeping. They don't think, oh, now it's the best time of the day. Whew, I can really enjoy now. They think, oh my God, I have to stop my service to do this bodily activity. Krishna, let me get up as fast as I can.
But Guru Maharaj,
The
we struggle.
Goswamis were sleeping 1 or 2 hours a day, that's all. Why? Because they didn't have any time to sleep. They were too busy serving. If you want to give up sleep, just use all your time to serve. And then you'll forget about sleeping. And then you'll start sleeping a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, and pretty soon you'll be conscious. Well, Prabhupada never slept. When he used to lay down, he would just be in a relaxed position with his eyes closed. But he was aware of everything, even while he was so-called sleeping. You couldn't go into Prabhupada's room and think, oh, he's sleeping, we have to be really quiet. If you came in there, he would immediately recognize you were there, even if he was, in the act of sleeping. He wasn't sleeping.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Sleep is ignorance, sleep is death, sleep is a waste of time. Prabhupada even said that. He said out of the 4 bodily activities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, the worst one is oversleeping. Because you're wasting the valuable time of life in that state of unconsciousness. But some people they think sleep is so nice. they see dogs sleeping and they think, wow, I wish I was a dog so I can sleep like that. Dog can go anywhere and just lay down and plop.
Michelle Obama, she said she would love to come back as Bo, the White House dog. She said his life is made. Everything is done for this dog. He has the greatest life ever.
Yeah, well, she'll get it. That's what she wants, she'll get it.
Thank you, Anjali Mataji. Any other questions, devotees?
Okay, we can stop here.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm at a new place now, so I'm not sure I'll be present tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I won't be. So anyway, but we'll see you soon. Keep reading. We're getting towards the end of the chapter. I think it's 51 verses in this chapter. And so this chapter is very essential to understand in more detail the nature of the absolute truth and the intricacies of philosophical teachings that are not so easy to understand. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for time and association. Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you,
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Guru
you
Maharaj.
very much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.